current assessment, is it paper, pencil, and computer, or did you do a combination or sort of balance?
We do a combination.
But you are doing some, when you decide.
That's chosen entirely by schools.
Okay. And then,
okay, folks, are we kind of settled in to where you're going to be? Hopefully you're in a group that at least reasonably fits your more of these. Do we have some more of these? We're short here.
I was analyzing.
Okay, so here's our plan. We're going to allow about 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to check in at 2:30 to see how you're doing. All of you have a little bit of a worksheet here, and we're going to ask that one of you at the table be responsible to write legibly on your worksheet and turn it in to Patty so we can use that for our notes purposes. Okay. The rest of you can scribble any way you want on yours. Here's your assignment as a group. To work your way down the list under response and rationale and sort of either agree with the recommendation that was made in December or modify your position based on your role-like group and the rationale for why you chose it. So let's just start with the first one, which I think is low-hanging fruit. 3 through 8 content, reading and math. If you agree with that and say that's where it should stay, that's where it should remain, then your response is going to be reading and math, and the rationale might be whatever the feds require, minimum standards, whatever for your rationale. So that's going to be essentially what your job is. So each of these sort of horizontal rows, your group should talk about the current recommendation, and then move to the next 2 columns and fill out either whether you concur, and if so, why, or if you disagree, what's your recommendation and why. And again, some of these are going to be pretty simple, others of them a bit more complicated. The only thing I will say is under 3 through 8 items, the second row, Greg asked me to just, I double-checked with him. It sounds like you do paper, pencil, and computer-based testing, right, for that one. So it should be paper, pencil, and computer-based, sort of a combination of those two. Most everybody's agreeing we're moving towards computer-based. The question really is going to be whether you want it to be computer-based or computer-adapted, and then your rationale for that. Amy?
Could you clarify your difference in between rows 1 and 2 and the difference between 3 through 8 content and 3 through 8 items?
So 3 through 8 content means what content areas should be tested. Right now it's reading and math. I can't imagine anybody here saying we should expand that content, but if you decided in your group you should, then what should that be? But I think everybody's going to agree reading and math. Under items, that is really going to be what type of test. Paper, pencil, computer adapted, computer based. And remember, we got into the computer based and computer adapted discussion this morning. So which of those do you think we should be using at 3 through 8 and why? And then the high school content, should we stay at reading and math only? And if so, that'll be simple. And then again, what assessments would be Smarter Balance at grade 11 is the current. I felt like the consensus, most everybody said, replace Smarter Balance with ACT for the future. But maybe now that the NBA US folks have presented, you might have a different opinion on that. So talk about what you think should be done at the high school level. What is your recommendation from your group and why? And then the science test is going to be a discussion. What grade level should we test in science? So talk about that as your group and come out with a recommendation on what grade levels and why. And then the last one is, and again, I have already apologized to Jeff for eliminating build, but if you feel like build should be one of them, then insert that back in. Otherwise, if you think we should buy off the shelf or hybrid, why do you recommend that and what's your rationale for that? So we're going to ask you to kind of work your way down the list based on your role-like group. You should have a response or a recommendation and a rationale for every one of these, and ideally by about 2:30 or so, if possible. Some of these will be very simple, others have more discussion. Okay?
I'll write Pete no. Unless you really want to. I'll write you just 3 minutes.
I know there's 6 of them.
Where do we start? That's why. So my. That's why.